All right, so we got the galaxy's biggest troll, Trazyn, explained. But before we get to the video, man, make sure you guys follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/kingandy with 2 Y's. It's at the bottom of the screen and it's in the description down below. Go follow it right now. I know you're looking. All right, make sure you go follow it before we start the video. I'm gonna give you 3 seconds. All right, let's go. Oh, you didn't follow it. You think I'm playing? I'm not playing. What are we talking? Oh, you followed it? I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go.
Every single character in 40K has a dedicated fan base on one side and an even more dedicated group of haters on the other. No matter who you bring up in a comment section, you're gonna get people who say that they're the best thing ever, and another group of people that thinks they're the avatar of mediocrity. Except, of course, if you're talking about Trazyn the Infinite. Somehow the galaxy's biggest troll is also Warhammer 40K's least contentious character. Sentiment on the whole with this guy seems to be overwhelmingly positive, and it makes sense. Collector determined to preserve the universe's history by liberating artifacts of impossible worth from lesser species that can't appreciate them like he does.
So listen, I watched the video on the Trazyn guy from who was it from? Major Kill. Bro, I heard this guy was smart, yo. I heard he was the Albert Einstein of this entire franchise. I'm gonna be honest with you, it should be Vulcan, but that's a different story.
He's what happens when you take Indiana Jones, Marvel's The Collector, and Ash Ketchum, merge them all into one, and download their consciousness into an 8-foot-tall, 65-million-year-old metal skeleton. His antics are hilarious, admirable, and admittedly, a little bit disturbing.
Yo, wait. So is he like the Warhammer version of oh my God, what's this guy? Yo, MacGyver? Is he like the Warhammer version of MacGyver or no? Or is that just like a too far away of reach? Like, I thought I killed it on that comparison. Did I kill it or not? Okay.
But who exactly is he, and where did he come from? What is he all about? Well, today we're going to get to the bottom of that and learn all about 40K's most beloved character. But first, a quick shout out to this video's sponsor, and then we're going to dive headfirst into the Grimdark.
Okay.
A lot of you in the comments have been asking me where I get these super dope t-shirts from. They come from this really cool company called Into the AM, and they're the sponsor of this week's
By the way,
video.
make sure you guys, follow the Twitch. I just had to, listen, if he gonna do his ad, I gotta do my ad as well. Shout out to weshammer. We all paying bills. Make sure you guys follow my Twitch over there. Bro, I cannot wait till my new PC actually comes through. It's gonna be absolutely, absolutely diabolically amazing. We're gonna be playing all types of games and reacting to all types of videos, and I'm gonna have like my own separate channel of everything going up on that channel from like the Twitch and stuff like that. It's gonna be absolutely amazing. Shout out to all you guys for watching, for watching all the videos, because without you guys, I couldn't get this brand new PC. It's actually coming through in March, man. So I'm really excited about it, man. And yeah, make sure you guys follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/kingandy. I cannot wait to start streaming.
Not only do they look amazing and are super comfortable,
I can't
they're
wait.
actually really affordable too. If you're like me and you're a fan of really cool graphic tees, you can get 3 of them bundled together for $60.
Ooh.
But if you like something a little bit more professional looking, you can get 3 of their basic tees bundled together for $49.95, which is a great deal on its own. But if you use
that is a
my
good
link
deal
down in the description of this video, or use code weshammer at checkout, you can save an additional 10% off your entire order. Into the AM is running a massive Cyber Week sale right now, with discounts from 30 to 80% off site-wide that stack with my discount code. So you can save even more money on some amazing shirts. So go to intotheam.com/weshammer today and pick yourself out something awesome. Thanks again to Into the AM for sponsoring today's video. And with that out of the way, let's get into the Grimdark.
Let's go.
The war-torn galaxy of the 41st millennium always seems to be one step removed from utter and total annihilation. The squabbling of its various species and the influence of the dark gods constantly poised to burn away everything that ever was. In such an event, new species will inevitably rise from the ashes of what came before. They will be inheriting a galaxy that bore witness to the impossible, countless marvels, terrors, and an infinite number of stories great and small. They will, however, be ignorant of all of this, and will be doomed to repeat the mistakes of their forebearers. That is, unless a certain metallic kleptomaniac named Trazyn is able to succeed in his lofty mission.
Wait, I thought it was Trazyn. Wait, it's Trazyn? Okay, Trazyn. Okay, Trazyn. I gotta remember that.
You see, Trazyn is the self-described archaeovist of the Solemnist Galleries, and his ultimate goal is to preserve the history of the Milky Way. He believes there will come a time when the lesser species will inevitably destroy themselves, and that his ultimate mission is to preserve what was for whatever comes after. Whether that be the Necron dynasties themselves, or whatever new species climbs its way out of the primordial ooze. Even though he's an incredibly powerful and influential Necron lord that controls legions of his own soldiers, he's more of a researcher and a historian than a conqueror. When him and his legions march to war, it's not necessarily out of the desire for conquest, but more as a byproduct of the necessities in procuring some of the more well-guarded relics he has set his eyes on. He's a rather complicated individual and stands apart from most of 40K's characters of similar importance, especially when compared to the other Necron lords, who seem to be more fixated in taking back the galaxy from all of these newfound squatters that have shown up since they went to sleep. When it comes to Trazyn, we can respect his pursuits as a noble cause. It's important to preserve history, but at the same time, he's also a little bit of a kleptomaniac, basically just showing up to take whatever the hell he wants, under the guise of some kind of noble mission.
I'm gonna be honest with you, this is my type of character right here. This is my type of character right here, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said before, if I was in Warhammer, bro, I would be like some type of merchant. I'll be making millions of dollars. Man, I would have more money than Donald Trump if I was in Warhammer. But if I'm being completely honest with you, bro, if I was like any other character, I would definitely be a guy like this, bro. Bro, I'll come through, bro. I'll be like, yeah, I'll be like, yo, babes, bro. I'll stop by the cafe. I'll be like, yo, babes, the usual. She'll be like, of course. And she brings out the usual. I eat my pancakes and eggs and sausages and stuff like that. Man, then I go out, bro. I'm like a wild cowboy out there, bro. I'm like Arthur Morgan out there, bro. Fulfilling all types of duties, just doing whatever I want. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what I would be.
He doesn't like to use the word
if I was in Warhammer.
Steal. He doesn't steal anything. He liberates relics of antiquity. Something that previous owners don't ever really
He doesn't like the word steal?
His antics have gotten him banned from numerous Necron worlds, and he has very few contacts left that wouldn't immediately kill him on sight. Trazyn has lost count of how many times the other Necron lords have sent assassins after him. And unfortunately for them, through his remarkable cunning and the use of countless surrogate bodies, he never really stays destroyed for very long. The act of being murdered proving to be little more than a minor annoyance. The success of his mission is paramount, and he justifies his actions by claiming if he was able to find some way to explain himself to the lesser species, they would certainly come to understand the importance of what he was trying to do. But how would he even go about doing this?
He sounds like a finesser. I like it. He sounds like a straight finesser.
How do you explain to humanity and other species like them that their lifespans are so finite that to an immortal being like Trazyn, the purpose of their existence basically boils down to a handful of artifacts or important individuals, that they should be willingly giving them up instead of selfishly clutching onto them? To him, trying to explain himself to such barbaric individuals is unfortunately a pointless waste of time that could be better spent acquiring even more important pieces of history. So he takes what he wants and moves on to his next pursuit, making a whole lot of enemies along the way. Trazyn's enemies see him as a monster, a tyrant come to unleash not just legions of Necron soldiers, but also a bizarre menagerie of monsters and aliens, sometimes even their own soldiers that have been mind-shackled to him. Trazyn's heard what they call him: a thief, a monster, an abomination, a tyrant, and thousands of other hurtful names. And he understands why they would fling such unwarranted insults at him. I mean, really, he gets it. But from his perspective, he's the most altruistic person in the entire galaxy. It's just unfortunate that everyone else is too primitive to understand that. The relics that Trazyn has stored in his galleries are inconceivable, from ancient weaponry thought lost.
Bro, he's like the Carmen Sandiego of Warhammer. This is like this is the vibe that I'm getting right now. He's like, oh yeah, and he's like, yo, I'm not stealing it. I'm just taking it, and then like, you know, I'm just taking it for my well-being, and then like, you know, because of reality, bro. I swear to you. Bro, I don't know if you guys ever heard from this before, but this is like the classic saying that all criminals say. Oh, I'm not taking from the people. We're actually taking from the banks. People that like rob like banks or whatever, they're like, oh, well, yeah, we're not taking the people's money. We're taking the bank's money. Are you serious? Bro, there's no justification for this. You are a bank robber. You're an armed bank robber. If you walk into a bank, bro, with a pistol like these, hand over the money, and you put a pistol in that poor lady's face, you are a bank robber. It doesn't matter what I'm taking away from the people, from the bank, not the people. Like, come on, bro.
Of years ago, during the War in Heaven, to entire regiments of guardsmen and space marines, locked in stasis for all time. And speaking of those galleries, to understand Trazyn, we need to understand the world that he calls home. the world of solemnness. The things that Trazyn has taken and stored in his galleries are inconceivable. From ancient weaponry thought lost millions of years ago during the War in Heaven, to entire regiments of guardsmen and space marines, locked in stasis for all time. And speaking of those galleries, we need to talk about the world that Trazyn calls home. As we've established, Trazyn is a particularly eccentric individual, so we should expect no less from his kingdom. For a long time, we didn't really know too much about it, other than it was the place where Trazyn stored his vast collection. But with Book 2 of the Fabius Bile trilogy, we finally got a decent look at this place. So first and foremost, even though I'm going to refer to it as a planet from time to time, Solemnness really isn't a planet. It's an artificial construct. The world's atmosphere, consisting of lashing winds and toxic clouds.
We got an AI globe.
For the most part, seems as though it's left completely defenseless. Almost as if, despite being a cold, dead husk, is welcoming to visitors. If one was to descend to the planet's surface, they would see nothing but silvery sand dunes stretched out as far as the eye could see. There are no ruins, vegetation, or any signs of life at all. If you were to pick up a handful of the sand and let it dribble through your fingers, you would notice that it's not sand at all. Each individual speck is a micro machine, so tiny that as they fell through your fingers, the wind would catch them and carry them off to a new destination. When Fabius Bile did this, he could have sworn he saw a skeletal face leering back at him in the cloud of nanomachines, almost as if whoever made this place had a pretty interesting sense of humor.
Hell
the machines
no.
act as trillions of minuscule solar cells, receiving transferred energy from a massively powerful star the entire world is formed around. And the toxic gases and winds are a byproduct of the tiny machine's synthetic photosynthesis. It's an impossible place that, even to a great and terrible mind like the one owned by Fabius Bile, makes absolutely no sense. Its technology is just on a completely different scale. When Fabius Bile journeyed to this world, him and his followers were trying to figure out how to get inside of it. They had worked out a system where if they used their ship's signal jammers, they might be able to interfere with the nanomachines. But before they could put their plan into action, the nanomachines directly beneath their feet all hardened together into a large circular platform. The platform then began to descend downwards, creating a massive tunnel through the dunes. Once they finally broke free from the undulating mass of nanomachines, what they saw was pretty spectacular. And I'm going to read a passage from the book that describes exactly what they were seeing. Fabius looked around in growing wonder. Jade lumens flickered to life across the vast space that they now found themselves in. In the emerald radiance, Fabius saw that their platform was one among hundreds, each set equidistant from the others and at varying heights, mounted atop deceptively thin towers of smooth stone and featureless metal. Instinctively, he activated the armor's augers, trying to get a sensor map of his surroundings. Each of the platforms was connected by a single walkway to the edge of an immense circular tier. There were thousands of tiers, each rising to impossible heights and descending to imperceptible depths, all along the vertical curve of what could only be a colossal sphere. Each of the tiers was occupied by what appeared to be a labyrinth of prismatic galleries, winding back into the heart of the vast structure, and all were slowly, almost imperceptibly, moving, rotating, the way a world might rotate in its place in the firmament. He murmured in awe despite himself. Questions sped across the surface of his mind, one after the next. This place was nothing so much as a gargantuan orrery built around a caged power source of incalculable potency.
I was right,
he said, thumping the ramp of the gunship with the ferrule of his scepter. The sound echoed loudly in the silence.
It's a Dyson sphere. I would guess that it has been here for some time.
Hey, school threat, get out my ear, yo. Yo, why do I have a school threat in my ear? First of all, I know this is Wes. Yo, Weshammer, bro. Weshammer be in his bag when it comes to the voice acting, bro. He be in his bag, bro. Somebody need to sign him.
Longer than humanity has prowled the stars. In certain Eldari text, it speaks of a great war in heaven.
Yo, by the way, real quick, I don't mean to mess up the vibe, whatever. I know I got Killer Croc from Batman in my ear right now. But listen, I'm actually playing some Fall Guys later today on stream. If you guys would like to actually come through his Twitch.tv/ King Indy with 2 Y's, by the way. I just had to, you know, my bad. A shameless plug, I know.
Allegorical
my bad.
Nonsense. That can be expected of such a culture. But if you were to compare it to other xenos records, there are hints. Star gods and cannibal suns, warp spawn and soulless legions that were more monstrous than any abominable intelligence. Machines that devoured entire worlds for fuel. and vampiric entities that drained the energy from stars. Cannons that could split reality with a single shot.
Fabius smiled.
A war that laid waste to every galaxy in the universe. A war our existence has yet to recover from. Glorious to think of it, isn't it?
No, it's
Alice
not.
grunted.
If it's the truth. What is truth?
Yo, why did he sound like Jiren real quick? What?
But the perception of fact.
The fabled prismatic galleries of Solemnus are packed full of some of the galaxy's most valuable and historically relevant artifacts from across space and time. However, it doesn't contain just physical objects, but potentially billions of living individuals as well, whether they be figures of historical importance or entire battles, each participant frozen in time and snatched away to be stored in Trazyn's mighty collection. He likes to walk amongst his exhibits, ducking underneath bolter shells frozen in the air and making minor adjustments to cloaks billowing in the wind, moving soldiers around ever so slightly to truly capture the emotional impact of a battle. He's not just a history nerd, but also fancies himself a great storyteller, making sure his exhibits don't just tell the historical facts, but also tell a great story and capture the emotion of the battle. Unfortunately, sometimes these ideas can conflict with one another, and he has to make concessions. If, say, for example, a soldier of historical importance is in the collection, and he's trying to represent their last stand, if the captured individual is missing an arm, but the moment he's trying to depict happened before he lost the limb, Trazyn has no problem with taking an arm from another less important specimen and reattaching it to them to better capture the moment. Maybe his exhibit is supposed to feature 1,000 guardsmen fighting off against a horde of orcs.
What the hell is this guy's problem? Yo, this man is, bro, listen, I haven't used this word in years. I'm about to use the word, bro. This man is peculiar. Did I say that right? This man is peculiar. Bro, like, what?
But he was only able to capture 500 of them. In this case, he may grab another 500 from a different gallery to fill out the ranks, even if those soldiers came from a completely different planet and time period. He may even grab some historically inaccurate outfits for the implanted guardsmen, if it matches the original exhibit, balancing historical accuracy, limited supplies, and a good story, all of which can prove to be a pretty difficult task, but it's one that he is wholly dedicated to. And when you love what you do, it never really feels like work. Some of his treasures include an ossified husk of an enslaver and the fabled Wraithbone Choir of the Altanzar craft world, the preserved head of the ecclesiarch Sebastian Thor, who took over after Vandire's reign of blood, a library of written documents said to be so vast it rivals even the
Bro, look at all those books. Man, bro, this is like the bookworm's like dream right here.
Library of the Eldari, the world spirit of an exodite Eldar planet, regiments from just about every different Astra Militarum world, artifacts from the Necron tier's ancient past during the times of flesh, astartes from various different chapters and legions, many of those individuals predating the Horus Heresy, an entire Tyranid splinter fleet, which we'll get into a little bit later, a preserved and possibly still alive Krork, complete with its impossibly advanced armor, an intact Catan shard, a damaged but still functioning webway portal, a troop of Harlequins, and a massive stock of uncorrupted Emperor's Children gene seed. Although admittedly, he ended up trading this away to Fabius Bile for something.
Yo, by the way, the Fabius Bile guy, I actually got a video of him coming through. It might come through today, but it's I don't know. It might come through today because I don't want to, like, you know, my bad. It might come through today because I don't want to make all the uploads like squished together. But I do have a video of Fabius. What's his name? Fabius. Dang, what's his last name? I forgot. Oh man.
Far more unique. A perfect clone of the primarch.
That video's coming though.
Okay, so I want to take a second to really highlight that one. A perfect, uncorrupted clone of the Primarch Fulgrim, complete with all of his memories and previous honor intact from before he was corrupted by Slaanesh. This is possibly one of the biggest additions to the lore in the last 5 years, and could be the beginning of one of 40K's most memorable storylines, the redemption of Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children. Can you imagine what it would look like if out of all of the Primarchs to return next, it was Fulgrim as a loyalist? What implications could this have for the...
Oh yeah, because Fulgrim, he was a traitor, right? Yo, that would be tight. I would be honest with you. That would be tight. I mean, obviously, like my bubble would definitely burst if Vulcan came back, but you know.
Future of mankind. What would it look like if Fulgrim returned to stand beside Guilliman and lead the Imperium against chaos? What would it mean for the Emperor's Children that followed him? The implications are massive, to say the least. But that being said, if I know anything about Trazyn, it's that he isn't going to just give away...
Bro, why is he rubbing his hands together like Birdman, bro? What's going on?
Mint condition, second edition collectible. So we're probably never going to find out. The larger his collection grows,
He's rubbing
the
his
more
hands like
ambitious Trazyn
Birdman.
becomes, often setting up displays for future acquisitions. Now, one particular exhibit of note is a resplendent golden throne room, waiting for the day when he manages to obtain the centerpiece of his human exhibit and the crown jewel of his entire collection. Now, how he's going to manage to break into the Imperial Palace to steal the Emperor of Mankind is something...
I'm about to do what I'm about to do what the humans used to call a devious lick. It's crazy.
That, admittedly, he hasn't quite worked out the details on, but he's working on it.
Okay,
It seems
I respect
like
that.
out of all of the marvelous oddities and antiques that Trazyn has managed to collect, the one thing he hasn't been able to obtain is a friend. Oh, wait, no, never mind. He captured one of those too. In the
Oh.
short story, The War in the Museum, Trazyn is attempting to catalog a splinter hive fleet that he managed to capture. One of the specimens in the collection, a lictor, manages to escape and starts rampaging through his galleries. Trazyn inevitably tried to capture it himself after his Lich Guard proved to be ineffective, resulting in the lictor getting the jump on him and ripping his head off. After he wakes up in a new body, he decides that it might be for the best if he gets another expert to help him handle the situation.
Bro just got another chance. He just responded like it's GTA 5. Okay. We're just gonna let it go.
Exhibits on the Adeptus Mechanicus and releases a Magos Biologus from stasis. Trazyn greets him like he would an old friend. The Magos requests that next time Trazyn puts him in stasis that he leave him conscious, and Trazyn tells him that that's a really bad idea. He would definitely go insane not being able to move for 100 years. The Magos rebuttals this, informing him that the amount he could accomplish in silent contemplation for a century would be worth it.
Oh,
the story
wow.
doesn't really specify much about their relationship, but they greet each other like old colleagues, each wholly driven by the pursuit of knowledge. The Magos specializes in tyrannid organisms, and apparently they've worked out some form of deal where everything that he learns through his dissections, Trazyn will package and send back to the Mechanicus in exchange for him staying here on Solemnus. Over the course of the story, the Hive Tyrant that Trazyn was attempting to dehydrate and place at the center of the exhibit pulses out its synaptic link and starts to awaken all of the other Tyranids, something the Magos had specifically warned him about. And trying to put a living Hive Tyrant on display was, to put it mildly, a really stupid idea.
Yeah, a dumb idea.
A notion that Trazyn quickly dismissed. There's a really interesting scene in the book where we get to see what it's like inside of some of his exhibits. Trazyn and the unnamed Magos, as well as a pair of Sisters of Battle that have been mind-shackled to him, end up on a command barge and are sailing across the exhibits as all of the Tyranids start to wake back up. Each of the galleries underneath them is enormous, and if you didn't know what you were actually looking at, they would each look like a different war-torn battlefield from across the galaxy, with the exception that at each of their borders was a half-mile-tall steel wall that separated all of them. When the command barge flies above them, we get to see that each one is a completely different exhibit with a totally different setting. One being a bombarded cityscape, while another is a frozen tundra. As he flies higher into the air, we can see that there are countless other walled-off exhibits just like these. As the Tyranids begin to rampage through the other galleries, the skimmercraft approaches a giant cylindrical tower. It's described as a giant library, multiple rectangular-shaped shelves, each containing a different display. One has a group of guardsmen fighting off against the orks, while another depicts a clash between space marines of the Horus Heresy era. Every now and then, 40K can get a little bit meta, and this tower sounds an awful lot like many of the display cases some serious Warhammer collectors may have in their own homes. I personally have one myself in the studio where I record all of my videos, but I am...
Wait, Wes, this is yours? Bro, look at the... Hold up. Whoa, 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 whoa. I spot a problem. I spot a problem. Where's the salamanders at? Yo, Wes. Yeah. Hey, Wes, listen, you're my guy, bro. Voice acting skills, 10 out of 10. Where's the salamanders? Where's Vulcan? I don't... That looks like Magnus right there. Okay, I'm seeing a couple dreadnoughts. Okay, I'm seeing a thing from SpongeBob right here. Okay, so where's Vulcan? Where's my sweet, glorious King Vulcan? Okay. Yo, Wes, I'm going to be honest with you. We kind of have a problem. Where's Vulcan at, yo?
I imagine Trazyn's collection is a lot more impressive. Despite having spent his life as a historian and not as a warrior, Trazyn is no slouch in combat. Like all Necrons, he is gifted with the living metal body of Necrodermis that is able to repair itself from practically any injury. If his body does receive catastrophic damage that is too much to be repaired, he can immediately transfer his consciousness into a surrogate, whether that surrogate be nearby or all the way across the galaxy. If he needs to stay wherever he's at, he can also transfer his consciousness to pretty much any other Necron under his control, allowing him to jump back and forth between different Necron bodies, escaping death each and every jump. His weapon of choice is a staff known as the Empathic Obliterator, said to contain technology designed by the Old Ones themselves. It has an inbuilt resurrection orb and fires beams of psionic energy. The technology at Trazyn's disposal is frankly remarkable. He's able to open dimensional pockets to move great distances in the blink of an eye, and with the wave of his hand can emit a stasis field that, at one point in the Infinite and the Divine, stops a 6-ton stone hammer that was about to destroy him, locking it in place with a flick of his wrist. He didn't even stop walking to take a second to look at it.
Oh, he think he Doctor Strange. Okay.
Waving it off like one would a fly. Possibly his most iconic weaponry is a combination of inventions known as Tesseract Labyrinths and Mind Shackle Scarabs. The Mind Shackles are basically a tiny specialized version of the Canoptic Scarabs that the Necrons use to control other alien species. Once unleashed, the Scarabs will burrow themselves into the victim's head and interfere with their cerebral functions. They aren't always activated right away. In fact, one of their primary uses is to stay dormant for years at a time before receiving a signal from the Scarab's commander to activate. On one hand, the victim could become a full-blown sleeper agent, or it might be a lot more subtle. The Scarabs may just insert an idea here or there of action that will be beneficial to the Necrons. In more extreme examples, they can completely control the victim. It makes them into a puppet that can be turned into attacking their own comrades, surrendering important information, or even just killing themselves. Cranking up the control like this has its drawbacks, and can cause the tiny Scarabs to overload after only a few minutes. Trazyn tends to not utilize them in this way. Most of the examples we have of him mind-shackling humans show that he only makes it so they can't attack him, choosing to instead engage in dialogue and striking a bargain. He'd rather make them into allies of convenience rather than just outright dominating their mind.
Hey, that's respect. That's respect. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though he's like, you know, he's not being fair because like he's still stopping them from attacking them, whatever. At the same time, but you know what? I wouldn't say that's not him being fair. I mean, I would look at it as like him like protecting himself from being like, if I'm being honest with you. But okay, it is what it is. But if I'm being honest with you, I respect that because he could have easily like, you know, did some devious like menacing stuff. So if I'm being honest with you, that's respectful.
Besides, he finds that his captives tend to fight back against his enemies just fine if he deploys them into an immediately dangerous situation. The second device that he uses is what is known as a Tesseract Labyrinth. They take the form of a small glowing cube about the size of a human fist, but the reality is that they contain within them a pocket dimension, a prison with which the Necrons can store anything from a single person to an entire army. These are the devices that the Necrons use to store intact Catan shards, which are incredibly powerful when deployed into battle. Wherever Trazyn goes, he brings an entire collection of these things with him, each one containing a different monster or regiment of soldiers. So at any given time, he's basically walking around with an entire army that he can deploy out of nowhere. This is why everybody jokes that he's the ultimate Pokemon master. Even though he's incredibly powerful, Trazyn does—
Bro. I heard about this power from, bro. He can, y'all. What he can do is, y'all, he can throw something, suck it up, pause. He can throw something, right? And it sucks up whatever it is. And that thing can like, bro, it can like reappear on like the other side of the galaxy. If that isn't the most cracked like thing or cracked power that I've seen yet in Warhammer, it's really like ridiculous. Super ridiculous.
He tends to get hyper-fixated on things he finds interesting. And as somebody with the ADHD, I can totally relate to that. When this happens, his circumspection protocols tend to be diminished. And when it comes to warp sorcery in particular, it is said that he is like a deaf man at the dinner table, able to make out words through dampened sounds and lip reading, but not able to even notice the voices of any participants he's not directly focused on. Now, as I mentioned before, he's not really a warrior at heart. He's a man of science and history, but you wouldn't exactly know that by watching him fight. There's a pretty great example of this in the Infinite and the Divine, where at one point Trazyn and Orikan come face to face and end up locked in combat. Both participants move so quickly that their bodies appear as metallic blurs that are impossible for unaugmented human eyes to track. Their machine—
Bro, they moving like Super Saiyans, bro.
Minds processing information at lightning speed. Orikan is able to glimpse into the future and examines a million different possible destinies to determine the specific microsecond he needs to swing to deliver a killing blow.
That's like Doctor Strange.
Simultaneously, Trazyn's mind will jump to a new body. The second Orikan's blade impacts him, and in the exact same second, the new surrogate body is already charging back into his foe, a blow aimed at his head. This battle seems absolutely insane, but the narrator of the story takes a second to remind us of something very important.
It's like 4D chess. It's basically like 4D chess in a way. That's crazy.
He basically says, listen, what you're hearing described is definitely remarkable. The fight of the millennia. Two superhuman individuals buffed to obscene levels by ancient technology and techno-sorcery. But bear in mind that if this had been the time of flesh, this battle would be an unbelievable embarrassment. We as the audience are basically watching two metallic gods clash with one another, but the narrator is here to remind us that the reality of this situation is it's basically just two angry old men hitting each other with their canes.
But frankly, I don't give a damn. And I'll tell you this, only one of us is gonna walk out of here alive.
Bring it on!
Okay. Who gonna win? Hey, I got the guy on the left. I got. Oh, okay. Oh man. Hey, at least they're giving it all they got. Oh, okay, he slipped it. Does the green got balance? Oh, okay.
I fucking love this book so much. I also really don't want to spoil it for you, so if you like Trazyn, if you like the Necrons, definitely check it out.
Okay.
Like with most Necron characters, their individual histories during the times of flesh are mostly lost to time. We're only ever given brief glimpses into who they used to be through fractured and distorted memory code. It's pretty common for Necrons to wake up with their minds in complete shambles, some being so far gone that they can't awaken at all. So that being said, most of these glimpses we get into their past are not inherently trustworthy. Trazyn ruminates on the fact that he can't remember what he used to look like. Every now and then his mechanical mind reconstructs an image, or at least what he believes to be an image for about a microsecond. These are images of things he saw during those times, looking down at his curved fingers around a stylist, or dark pupils staring back at him from a burnished mirror. As soon as his mind tries to focus on it, it's gone. The memories of the war in heaven, though, are a bit clearer. He remembers the titanic clashes, armies of metal marching with dire purpose into the fracturing lines of the reptilian Old Ones. We know that in life he was the archaeovist of the Nihilik dynasty, and was a prominent member in their courts. Even all the way back then, he had a deep-seated rivalry with Orikan. One, a master historian who sought to learn the secrets of the past, and the other, a chronomancer, who sought to divine the future. They were polar opposites and contentious rivals, latter hundreds of times in the past. In the act of liberating the Supreme Commander, and technically saving his life, he had somehow found a way to be both. The fact that Cadia was ultimately destroyed, and the Eye of Terror would end up spreading its influence across the galaxy, to him was little more than an unnecessary footnote on a great story.
It's really no surprise that Trazyn is such a beloved character. He's hilarious, compelling, super mysterious, and his stories cover a pretty wide range of emotions. We love laughing at his crazy antics and general dickishness that tends to run in stark contrast to the super serious tone of 40K. But there's also a deep sadness with Trazyn. For the most part, he's completely alone, a being out of time, who's driven forward only by his mission. It's crazy to think that before 5th edition 40K, the Necrons really didn't have a personality other than kill all humans. And the even crazier thing is that we owe his creation to one of the most contentious literary figures in all of Warhammer. I'm talking about Matt Ward, the author of the Necrons 5th edition Codex. Now, I'm not gonna do a whole thing on him here because honestly, that's a video in its own right. But if you're not familiar with him, just know that he made a lot of changes to the lore.
Hey, one thing I'm gonna say is, man, he definitely, listen, I don't know if this is like him, like, as like he got older or whatever. Hey, he definitely looks well kept as like he got older. I'm gonna be honest with you. And that's not, I'm not like, you know, roasting his younger self or nothing like that. I'm just saying that he looks well, like, I don't know, he looks swaggier as he got older. I don't know.
That old school Warhammer fans absolutely hated. And whether right or wrong, they tend to blame him for pretty much all of 40K's problems. Now, I would never dare to attempt to speak for the entire community, so I can only speak for myself.
No, you can.
But Mr. Ward, if you're watching this video, I just want you to know that I forgive you for all of the Ultramarines and Grey Knights nonsense. What you did with the Necrons, and specifically Trazyn, is kind of remarkable. So thank you for giving us such an awesome character. But what do you guys think? Is Trazyn the best character in all of 40K?
No, he's not. We all know who the best character is of all time in Warhammer, and that's Vulcan. I mean, like, why would you even don't sit here and think that you didn't think that I was like who I was gonna say it is. Like, bro, it's Vulcan. Like Vulcan's the greatest, like, you know, Warhammer character of all time. Number 2, I'll put number 2. Nah, I'm not gonna put the Emperor. Number 2, I'll put Titus. Titus is pretty cool from the Ultramarines. And then number 3, nah, there ain't no number 3. I got Vulcan and Titus as like 1 and 2, if I'm being completely honest with you. But comment down below, man. We got some brothers. Shout out to weshammer. I gotta use the bathroom. My stomach is absolutely rumbling and jumbling and fumbling. And I'm gonna see you guys every time out. Bro, make sure you guys follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/KingUnity with 2 Y's at the bottom of the screen in the description down below. And oh my god, peace out. Oh, my stomach.